Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Machine Sentai Kiramager. I am Bashi V, and joining me today is.
Right?
And did a decade. Not on video.
Welcome to Kiramager episode 7, where
Yes.
all the other Kiramagers saw some kind of documentary on how to raise someone to be a proper leader, and so they all decide they know what's best for Juru and put him through unnecessarily intense training with no rest at all because that's good for people, right?
He gets 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, no, that is terrible.
Seen as a
And-
run for an hour. Fucking Shiguru like goes at him with fencing, but just goes at him so hard that Juru doesn't actually get any opportunities to learn how to properly counterattack.
So on a side note, they say fencing. It's kendo. That in no way is fencing
Yeah,
in
it's
any way,
kendo.
shape, or form. It's kendo.
Sayo dislocates his shoulder a couple times, and Tametono just harasses him with bullets.
It's one of those you can tell which one has the most animosity for him.
If you're gonna be the leader, then you're gonna be the kind of leader I want you to be.
The one that can take a bullet.
He's got the wrong teacher in that regard.
Yeah, he does.
What do you think, Decade?
Yeah, it was just fun seeing them in their little training outfits. And I love after Sayo flipped Judo over, he's just like, oh wait, no, not Tamatomo. And then he shows up with a big smile on his face, like, okay, now it's my turn. That was just really great.
Like I kind of feel that his initial fear with Sayo taking over was more, I'm about to die, and with Tamatono it was, this guy hates me. I don't want to deal with this.
So meanwhile, Crunchyroll's plan is to send a giant, super strong Jamenchi with 2 heads. He has got 2 heads, so he is twice as strong. But this means that it's going to require twice as many Jamenju to gather up enough darkness. So he sends the Fire and Ice brothers. Something straight out of a fucking Rudolph Christmas special.
100% out of a Rudolph Christmas special. Right down to their abilities.
You literally have Mr. Fire and Mr. Ice.
I think my favorite thing about that was there's no build-up at all, but they just immediately roll call. The villains do, and even Tomatomo's like, what? They roll called?
Maybe we should do it too.
We have to roll call now.
Like, it's very rare that we get villains who, and it's very even rarer when we get them that are funny. Because some of them, like when this stuff happens, it's just kind of, okay, that's a thing that happened. Let's do ours now. Whereas this, it's literally, should, yeah, we should, shouldn't we?
So here's the thing about that is that, and like in a normal Sentai, like somebody else says, hey, wait, we can't let them show up with the roll call thing. I'd be like, oh yeah, you know, they're turning this into some kind of weird roll call showdown that I'm 100% down for. But because Tametono's thing is that he wants to be the leader, it just kind of made me feel more like he was taking charge like just instinctively taking charge even though he shouldn't have. It's like by all means, Juro would be the one to like all right, we do our roll call now, and I don't actually care who's the one that says let's do the roll call. It's just that Tamantono's whole story about wanting to be the leader made that interaction feel different than it should have.
I agree, because it comes more across to me it comes across as you're not doing your job. We should have done ours and started this fight before they did theirs. And it just comes across a little bit weirder.
So Pixie thinks that we should do roll calls for the podcast now that we're doing camera stuff, and we already say our names at the start of each podcast. You want us to start doing JoJo poses?
Good God, no.
I guess we need like creative titles as well. Unless we just go by color, but that doesn't really make any sense.
Vashi is green apparently. So fair, I want to be green. Alright.
Note to self, repaint this wall red.
That's cheating. That's cheating.
So
And then halfway through, I can paint it white because Decade painted his red. Yes, I made a Q Ranger joke.
I was about to say, for those of you who don't get it, that was a jab at Q Ranger for having two reds, so one of them became white instead. Oh. Alright, so they encounter the two monsters, and everyone can't focus on the fight properly because they're all instead paying attention to Juru to see how their training has paid off. The answer is poorly.
Well, yeah, because, it's literally just an hour at a time in one day. But at least he is picking up some things.
He's trying. But also, the monsters can't really get along with each other because they have opposite conflicting powers. Just like the Rudolph special. I don't even know if Rudolph is in that movie. I saw it once as a kid. I don't remember anything about it.
Honestly, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure, because I'm pretty sure it was a Rudolph movie.
It was just one of those, like, Christmas claymation movies. Anyways, Decade, what do you think of the fight?
It was pretty fun. I mean, having brothers, I can relate, but it's still fun just watching them fight each other. And then, of course, we saw the other Rangers hoping that their training paid off, which it didn't, but it's still nice showing that they care about Red and want him to succeed in their own weird way.
Yeah, and on a side note, yes, Rudolph was in that movie.
Oh, cool.
And Hermie the Elf.
Of course.
Because they were... He left because he was upset because he was being a novelty act.
What does that mean?
Plot. Rudolph, not satisfied with being a novelty act, performing tricks with his nose, travels with Hermie to the island of misfit toys to give the King Moon Racer a root canal.
Okay, so he's going through that stage of being a famous person where everyone keeps asking you to do the famous thing and you're getting sick of it.
I guess.
It's like if you were in a commercial and you had said like this one line, but that line was the tagline for like the product, and so like you make it sound really cool. So every time you bump into someone on the street, they're like, "Hey, say the line."
Also, I may be connecting this to the wrong movie.
Good job.
Yeah, way to go. I need to do a Google search.
All right. Well, while we do that, back to Kiramager. So the brothers fight each other almost more than they fight the heroes. And Garuza steps in and starts berating the oven for being the jerky older brother that's picking fights with the younger brother. And that dude just has a lot of insecurities that he needs to work out. Decade?
For the record, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, it was fun watching him fight. What's really fun though is watching it a second time, and it really makes you appreciate how manipulative Garza is. It's really just like annoying, and it makes him such a good villain.
First, on a side note, it's a year without Santa Claus. It has nothing to do with Rudolph.
I didn't think it did, but like I couldn't think of any other way to describe it than a Rudolph Christmas movie.
They all kind of blend together. But yeah, Garuza as a villain is amazing. Like, I'm still sketchy about like them hiding what he looks like and all that, even though it makes sense and all that, because his freaking suit looks dumb. But it is starting to grow on me, like more than I expected it to, and he's just kind of a dick.
He's probably the best serious general we've had in a while.
He's definitely the best serious villain in this show, hands down.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been one of the best serious villains we've had in a while.
It's like the serious villains in Ryu Soldier were Tank Joe in Gadgeleus, and Tank Joe didn't get any screen time, and no one liked Gadgeleus.
And not just not us. Nobody in the show did either.
Like Kreon hated him.
And Wiseru couldn't stand being around him.
And Precious killed him first.
So
like nobody liked Gadgeleus in the show.
It's like he was a good serious villain. It's just the way that series played out made him kind of one of the nobody likes you, go home already.
He was also a bit too one note. Not necessarily that like that destroys his entire character. Just like compared to Garuza here, like he was a bit lacking in personality.
Like, and that's one thing they've done really, really well with this so far is we're 7 episodes in, and aside from Sayo, who is apparently perfect, everybody has their flaws, to include the bad guy. Tarantula, not so much, because he literally is just there to stomp in a puddle and cash in people's
monsters.
Yeah, but he's pretty much, in terms of what we really see him do, is he's there to stomp in a puddle, mention how scary Garuza is, and cash in people's insurance policies.
He's the HR guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's about right. It's like, but like Garuza, even for a villain, like Garuza's got more dimensions in 7 episodes than most villains have the majority of a series.
Alright. Decade, how do you feel about Garuza as the villain?
Yeah, he's pretty good. It definitely helps that he had the episode 0 too, and yeah, he's, as we'll go over, he's really just something else. And his whole um, I guess, perspective on weaklings. That was a pretty amazing scene that we'll get to.
So Juru is so worn out from everything that he can't even draw like normal. Ugh. And then Shiguru comes in and is like, I'm gonna cut your sleep hours to 3 so that we can train you even harder. Like they all need to like chill out. Uh, like how can none of them realize that like, hey, maybe we're working him too hard and should let him rest?
And like the fact that it's Mabushina who's the one who figures that out, and not the doctor, is exceedingly problematic to me. Not to mention the fact that every single one of them should know better, especially the 3 trained in fighting. Pink, blue, and green. Or well, running was just exercise in general with Senna. It's like all of them should know that A, this takes time, and 2, you don't work your ass off like an idiot, because that's how you get hurt and end up in hospitals.
That's one thought that I had when I first watched this. Like, I kind of thought that documentary was some sort of villain plot.
That's what I thought too. I was like,
They were just working
this
towards
must
that.
be some kind of villainous plan to like make this all happen through some
Mm-hmm.
overly complicated means, but it doesn't come up in the rest of the episode.
No, it just turns out the other 4 are just kind of dumb.
Like,
Don't get me wrong, they're with the best of intentions. I get it. But, road to hell is paved on good intentions. There's a point where you're being unsafe about this overrides any good intentions you had. Because like Senate said it best, is like, yeah, it's like he's got great mental fortitude. It's like, but he's not exactly the strongest person in the group. But then again, he is literally a child. I mean, he's still in high school, so.
I just looked up who wrote this episode. The lead writer for Kiramager, Kamen Rider Double, and Kamen Rider Drive.
It's not a good sign for him. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a very fun episode, but there's aspects of it that are problematic.
Even by Kiramager standards, the characters in this episode are being stupid.
Right. Like 100%. Like, and don't get me wrong, we typically get this type of episode in every series. Of we need to get so and so trained up to where they should be.
It'd be one thing if one of them was doing this, if one of them was working him too hard. But the fact that it's all 4 of them is what's making this over the top.
Right. And even so, it's like, even if it was just one of, in the normal instance, this would have been like a montage thing of, this is over a course of a couple of days or a couple of weeks, or this wasn't something that was around the clock and for one day. Like this is just dumb. And like I said, it's like, given the fact that we have a literal doctor on the team, somebody who literally trains in track and field, and not to mention whatever else she does, and then literally somebody who's trained in sword fighting, who all should know how to properly train in any type of exercise, none of them would do this naturally.
decade.
Well, I agree that yeah, it is very over the top and not too well written, but I think the main reason, looking at the next week's trailer again, um, is that next week Juru passes out from all the training and has a vision. And I won't spoil anything else, but that's
Right,
pretty
like
much why they built it
like
up this
that's
episode.
100%. That's 100% what it's for.
Well, one correction. He passes out this episode, like at the very end.
Which he may end up doing again next episode too. But like that's the whole thing, is like it's building up for the major thing that happens at the very end of this and next episode. I just feel they could have done it a different way without seeming to hurt characters to do it.
So, they go and encounter the monsters again, and Garuza gave Freezer this super duper devil juice that he chugs the whole bottle of. Except if you drink too much of it, it backfires and destroys your body from the inside. And then Gazuru walks in and just fucking wrecks him because, surprise, he didn't care about the younger brother at all. He doesn't specifically hate older brothers, he just hates weaklings and also has a brother complex.
Which again, given more character to the villains than we expected. And done in a standard Kiramager over the top way of doing it. Which, how often do we get these stupid gimmicky power-ups for the bad guys? which was nice to see, and the whole no, screw you, I'm gonna drink it all. Gluttony is bad. Learn to share.
Background music during that.
It's life insurance.
Yeah. Like on that threw me off a little bit because I was expecting them to have to beat both of them for it to be enough, because that's usually defeat the monster and it does it. And since this was two heads, would have to kill both of them. Is like, but no, just had to kill the one, and then cash in the insurance policy
They have their own separate insurance policies.
on the same plan. Yeah, they got they got their family discount.
Like, in going from Garuza's super badass moment of like killing Freezer himself because of his own convictions to Korentia just being like, insurance policy time, I just fucking lost it because I cannot take the insurance stuff seriously.
That was fun to be on the call for.
Oh.
And that's one thing that we've laughed at over the years of when we have like these super serious moments, and then like, because it happened a lot in with like Real Soldiers toward there towards the end, where it would be like super serious, do or die, and then happy joy ending music, and that was jarring enough. But this is literally the middle. This is literally the middle of the episode, and for them to do it there, it's like, wow, wait, oh yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
So Oven is still alive at the end of the episode. The Kiramagers form their mech to fight the giant two-headed fire and ice monster. But Garuza's getting in on this as well with his dino train. And he just starts kicking the Kiramager's ass.
Using the power of science.
Oh yeah, he's like chopping at their legs and stuff, actually disabling the mech and forcing it to like crouch and fall back.
It's like, and like the whole time this is happening, the monster's going hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, and the attack, because of that, plus the attacks is causing the actual crystals to crack and basically become cheap and easily broken, which is a very unique way of disabling a mech.
And so Juru, at his most desperate moment, conjures another train mech. It shocks Garuza, and Juru passes out. And that's where the episode ends.
And what a image to end on. The train mech in what appears to be a body form standing between the two, bathed in white light.
So, Decade, what do you think of the fight?
It was pretty good. I was definitely worried about the Kiramagers. They were getting pretty wrecked. But I thought it was interesting that Judo wasn't the only one who imagined the train coming before it showed up, but Garuza saw it as well in his mind or whatever. So that was kind of interesting.
We do have a comment that I feel does need to be addressed. Says from Muhammad Faiz Daniel. It says, hey, so do you feel that Kiramager and Zero One will be facing delays since Toei's other properties, One Piece and Precure, have already announced their indefinite hiatus? And the answer to that is
absolutely.
From because I think Drago posted it earlier that at least 2 weeks.
So Ryo Komiya, the actor who plays Juru, was the one who had caught corona, for causing Toei to make the decision to close down, and that was about 3 weeks ago. He has since been discharged from the hospital and has been making a recovery, and Toei has made the call to give him another 2 weeks to recover before getting back to filming. Now, I made the guess that they film episodes ahead of time, about a month, so I'd say that we're getting one episode next week and then going on hiatus after that for at least 2 weeks.
And the key word there, at least. Because with all of this stuff going on, there's no guarantee that they'll be back to filming before then.
It could be even a month,
if not longer. Because I mean, there's stuff that's on hiatus until whenever. Like Precure itself that's done until Toei feels safe bringing everybody back in to do it. And like the one difference between like and the way I look at superhero time itself could be on a longer time period is because like Precure and all that's all done in theory one building, maybe two, the animators and then the recording studios. This has taken place outside in various locations, which increases the risk. So it could actually be longer. But it's at least the 2 weeks for Red to recover.
So what that means for us is that when the show does go on a hiatus, we'll probably cut down to maybe one podcast a week talking about whatever we feel like.
Because I mean, there's a ton of stuff for us to talk about. Which again, we still have to do the Miraculous podcast.
I've actually been putting a list together of just things we can talk about.
One of which is Miraculous, because I
We
keep forgetting we
yeah,
have to do that.
I was wiped Sunday, so that one was on me. Because normally I would be like, "Hey, are we doing this or not?" But I couldn't. I actually forgot about it. I was so wiped.
So I mean, and on top of that, we've got stuff we can do like uh retro takes on and stuff like that. Because there's a ton of Rider and Sentai that can be covered. Plus, again, anything and everything else that we want to talk about. I mean, hell, it would throw everybody off, but Rai could literally show up and talk about his D&D campaign if he wanted to.
Which one? I'm actually in a couple.
That's kind of my point. It's like it's there's tons that we can talk about. It may not exactly be Toku related for a few weeks, but that's one of those. Well, once it hits, which most likely after next week, we'll cross that when we get to it.
So yeah, uh, I'm if we weren't getting an episode next week, we would have heard news on it. So I'm expecting we will get next week's episode, and then the hiatus will be after that.
Right. Because most likely next week I'll have the banner running across the screen about it, or in the ending thing. So at least when they do the episode, we'll have the solidification of when it starts.
Tiki.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I know one thing we could cover is the new Garo series. I think that will probably be
All
something
right.
unless they
Oh,
interrupt that
Because
yeah,
too.
that's an idea. I have not seen any Garo, so we could do a podcast where you just explain Garo to someone who has never seen it.
Oh well,
it,
that's definitely going to be hard because this new season is nothing like any of the other Garo seasons. It's totally
um,
wacky.
there are 3 that are out under TV Nihon for Versus Road.
Yeah, but Versus Road is nothing like the old Garo, so
Of
that'll
that
be
I have no
interesting.
doubt. I still need to go back and watch what was it, Zero?
No, yeah, Zero's good too.
I like that one because I like the actors. Because that was the one that I jumped in when we were doing the viewing parties on.
Are they like notable actors who returned, or
In some of them,
ah,
and then in some cases, it's hey, here's somebody who was in Rider. I mean, hell, we've got Suguri in it this season, apparently.
Yeah, he was just in episode 3.
who's been in more Toku? Tsurugi or Sawa?
Honestly, I think at this point it's Sawa still. Suguri's trying though. He's trying to get he's trying to move into the parking spot next to her.
Oh, oh, oh. All right. So anything we wanted to talk about with this episode of Kiramager?
Aside from people being dumb, it's a really good episode, even despite the fact that it's obviously still a parody show. And then the one serious moment with Garuza wrecking the monster was great. Which has been about the most serious the series has been so far.
Decade? Anything?
No, it was a fun episode. I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully it'll be well, it looks like it'll be more serious and always like seeing new mechs. So that'll be
Yeah.
cool.
New mech, Express Lightning. Like throughout the episode, they kept like zooming in on shots of like the piece of crystal that came from the gem that Mabushina came to Earth in. So the new mech is clearly made from that. It's just unclear what part of that. Like, is it
'Cause
like the rest of the ship up in the mountains, or is it like, did he conjure one from space, or what?
he summoned he summoned the kings from its parking spot. Juru's the new valet.
Alright, so thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow for Kamen Rider 01, and we expect to be back next week for more Kiramager. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Yep, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys back tomorrow and most likely next week, and then we'll see from there. Thank you all for joining us.